Hello everyone. Today for Module 3, Lesson 12 with the problem set, we learned that when we have a list of fractions, first what we should do is we should group them. And the way we were grouping is by their denominators. So in this case, we have 1/4 plus 7/4, and then we are also adding together 2 2/3 plus 1/3. So when we add these together, we have 8/4 plus this 2/3 plus this 1/3 is 3/3, and we still have our whole number. Now if we look at our first fraction, it is an improper fraction, and we can distribute it into 2 wholes. And then with our 3/3, that is also a whole number. 2 plus 1 is 3. So our answer on this problem is 5. So again, we're taking our numbers, we're finding our denominators that are the same, and we are grouping those. So here I have 2 3/5 plus 2/5, and then I'm subtracting out 3/4. When I add 3/5 plus 2/5, that gives me 5/5, which I know is a whole. 1 whole plus 2 is 3 wholes minus 3/4. And your students should be using mental math to figure out that if we have 3 minus 3/4, we are going to borrow from one of the whole numbers to subtract the 3/4, which will leave us 1/4, and we'll still have 2 left over. 2 1/4. Now the ones that were a little more difficult and were a little more challenging, I want them to look at this one. They can also think of it, if I have 5 minus 3 minus 1 plus 6, we should remember that if we have 2 minus numbers, we can add those together. And then we have 5 minus 4 plus 6, and they can solve that problem. We're doing the same thing, but this time we have fractions. So my first group is 4 3/7 minus 3/7 minus, and I'm going to add these 2 minus numbers together just like we did here. This time we just have fractions that we're adding together, and then we're subtracting. So 3/7 minus 3/7, they cancel. So I have 4 minus 3/4 plus 1/4 is 4/4, which is a whole, plus the 2 gives me 3, and 4 minus 3 is 1. Again, with these problems, it's really about your groupings. If you make sure and put those fractions together, that is the key. Now here, only one of these fractions is subtracted. So 5/6 plus 1/6 is 1 whole because it's 6/6. And then that 1/3, I know that that 1/3 is going to come out of that 4/3, and it'll be minus 3/3, and 3/3 is 1 whole. So my answer for this problem was 0. Now the next part was was a little more difficult, but we'll find our way. We also had to do, with these problems, we had to find some least common denominators. Most can do it mentally, but if not, then they need to draw their T-charts. I know 15, 5, 10, 15. They can draw their T-charts, that'll be helpful. So, but I have some numbers I can group here. And before I group, I know I have an improper fraction, so I'm going to make that proper before I go on. And 3 can go into 11. It cannot go 4 times because that's 12, but it can go 3 times, which is 9. And 11 minus 9 is 2/3 left over. So here I have 3 2/3 minus 3 2/3, which actually cancels each other out. So 3 2/3, oh, we're not adding, so we actually have to add those together. So I have 11 2/5 minus 6 4/3. And out of this 4/3, I know I can get one whole number, and I'll have 1/3 left over. So it's 11 2/5 minus 7 1/3. And here's where the common denominator comes in. So I have 11 and how many 15ths minus 7 and how many 15ths? Well, to get to 15, I have to multiply 5 times 3. So what I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator, and I have 6/15. 3 goes into 15 5 times. 5 times 1 is 5. And then I just do my math. 11 minus 7 is 4. 6 minus 5 is 1. And my denominator does not change. 4 1/15. Okay. Now comes the part where it did get a little more difficult. We are trying to find out what this number is that I subtract from 11 7/8 plus 3 1/5 to get 15. Again, they may need to find that common denominator. I know out of 5 and 8, it's going to be 40. So what do I do to 5? It is 5 times 8 equals 40, and 8 times 5 equals 40. They could do the T-chart, but that one's going to take a little bit, so they just need to think about their multiplication facts. So I'm going to go ahead and change my fraction, and it was 8 times 5, so 7 times 5 is 35, plus 3, and it's 5 times 8, so 8 times 1 is 8. That equals 14, and 35 plus 8 is 43 40ths, which equals, I have a 40 40th, and I'm left over with 3 40ths. So that is 15 3 40ths. Now with this one, I can look at it. This number that I just found, which was 15 3 40ths, minus a number will give me 15. Well, here I know to get to 15, I would have to subtract 3 40ths. But we're not going to make it that easy. We're going to add a little bit extra to our fraction work. So what I have here is 5/12 minus a number plus 5/4 equals 2/3. So again, I can convert all of this to the same common denominator. 5/12 minus some number plus 4 goes into 12 3 times, 15/12 equals 3 goes into 12 4 times, 2 times 4 is 8. I know that I can add these two numbers, 20/12 minus some number equals 8/12. And I know that 20 minus 12 would leave me with 8/12. And 12/12 is actually, so it's 12/12 is the same as one whole number. Now, what we did also do in class, we can do it mentally, but we can also, these numbers are both subtracted on this side. I can move these numbers I'm subtracting to the other side, and I have to change their purpose from subtracting to now adding. So now what that looks like is I have 21 2/3 plus 30 plus 7 1/4. And we've been using this for a while. 3 and 4, their common denominator is 12. So 21 and some number of 12s plus 30 plus 7 and some fraction of 12s is going to give me my number. So 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 1 is 3. And then I'm going to do the math. 21 plus 30 is 51. 51 plus 7 is 58. So that's taking out my whole numbers. Now I'm going to add my fractions. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 58 and 11/12 minus these two numbers gives me my final number. I did assign one problem that had a decimal in it. Please make your students say that out loud. 11 and 1/10. 11 and 1/10 plus 3 and 1/10 minus some number equals 99/10. So now they should be able to convert this number from an improper fraction to proper, which would be 9 and 9/10. And 11 plus 3 is 14 and 2/10 minus some number equals 9 and 9/10. What they can do here is they can convert this number over to this side from adding and change it to subtracting. 14 and 2/10 minus 9 and 9/10 should give them this number. So here we're going to have to borrow. So I'll have a 13 and I'll have a 10/10 plus 2/10 equals that number, minus 9 minus 9/10. So 10/10 minus 9/10 is 1/10 plus 2 is 3/10, and 13 minus 9 is 4. 4 and 3/10. Oops. And again, I have students doing their word problems. Please ask them to draw pictures. Checking on it, the first one is we have a student who is buying ribbons. With these ribbons, she uses so many to make one product, so many to make another. If they could write out that number sentence to help them. And then with the second word problem, we're going to be given a number that we're starting with, and then we're subtracting from it. And then we know we have some left over, but what's our other missing number? So they need to either draw a picture or write that number sentence out to help them solve it. Thank you.